So here I'm going to start pulling the steering bracket off. I'm going to start out with these, popping these two off, one on each side, and taking this all apart. And there's another one right here, another mount, a little tricky to get to. But you take it all apart and this whole back section will come off. And then I can go from there. Well, here I'm re-riveting the front latch that was missing. I bought some rivets online, aluminum rivets. 1/8 brazier head rivets. They're a little bit too long, so I nipped a little bit off. And I had my rivet sets from my Eastern Airlines days, 5/32 rivet set. And it does a nice job. Instead of putting screws in there, I figured I'd do the rivets like the factory did because the latch was missing. Get professional job. Gotta love it. Well, here I'm doing a repair on the front emblem. Two of the pins were broken off. So I said, instead of putting two screws through the front on the outside and looking kind of funky, I figured I took a piece of 1/8" plastic, nylon I believe it is. I have pieces of it, sheets of it from my old job. So I just sandblasted both sides of it. I punched some holes in it. I countersunk 2 areas on the end for screws. And I'm going to JB weld it on there and clamp it up. And again, it's only holding the ornament on. It actually held pretty good with just the 2 fasteners. But what I did was with the screws, I took some small wood screws and I mimicked the pins. So I'll show you how I install it. Now I also sandblasted the inside of the aluminum panel. You could also just sand it just to rough it up. But I got the blaster, so I use that on the plastic and the aluminum. So now I'm just going to take some JB Weld and mix it up. I did punch extra holes just to grip a little bit better, with more holes around by the screws. So it should last for another 30 years. Well, here I got it all clamped up with the JB Weld setting. I don't know if I mentioned, but I did grind the points down off the wood screws. And I kind of sunk the other side of the plastic so it fits flush. Just enough room with the thickness of that plastic so it should fit flush. And I already pre-fit to make sure these clips fit on there. These plastic hats that hold the original ones on. It works the same way on the original pins as it does the screws that I substituted for the pins. We'll see how it holds out. I'm going to try to, once it sets for a day or two, I'm going to try to peel it off. Just another repair. So let it sit for 24 hours. I took the clamps off. I went outside to make sure the pins line up. The holes are big enough where there's room for error. But I did mark, before I glued this piece down with these 2 screws in it, I did mark with a Sharpie where the original pins were. And I made lines up here. So once after I put the glue down, I could still see where to line it up. And everything looks good. So it's a pretty nice repair. I mean, you could do better. You could probably use sheet metal. If you had a TIG welder, you could really make something nice. But this is for the do-it-yourselfer. You know, you can do it in your driveway or your garage. I like it. Here I'm going to sandblast the propeller. I ended up taking that prop off, that motor, and I thought it was a 10-horse propeller. But it is the right size. I strained it out with some hammers on my vise and dressed up the edges. And now I'm going to sandblast it and paint it. Time to turn the hamburger over. Rust-Oleum High Performance White. Come on now. Don't clog up on me now. Tip change. Tip got clogged. One got another one. Can't win. Nine by 10.5 prop pitch. Always paint your props. That's my belief. Because the first thing a customer or a person will look at if they're going to buy a motor off you, they look at the prop. It's just human nature. Now that that's done, I'll find some black paint and I'll paint the bullet, and then onto the low unit touch-up. Well, here I just got done sanding and wire wheeling the gear case. Again, it's a quick job. It's not a restoration, just to make it look more in symmetry to the rest of the motor. But I use all different kinds of wire wheels, you know, the regular stuff that most people use. And also I call it a ironing sander. Now, I think I got 180 grit in there, 120. I just cleaned it up really quick. Took out the drain plugs on the other side, just so I can get a little paint behind the drain plugs. And I'll probably paint tomorrow. I'll give another coat of primer. It's almost a couple hours to be dark, so. And it's probably about 95 degrees out, so. But the humidity is not too bad. So I'll paint it again with primer and continue with the color tomorrow. Well, here I'm going to do a little painting. I used, I'm using Yamaha Blue Metallic. I've had this paint for 10 years. Time to get rid of it. It's a pretty close color match, which is nice. And I'll let that tack up and do the other side. Probably 2 or 3 coats. Again, folks, just to make it match and look somewhat presentable. That's all what the game plan is here. Okay. Well, here I sandblasted the prop and the bullet, repainted it. Pretty much got the cosmetics done on this motor. The next thing I have to do is drill and tap the 2 screw clamps and put the washers on for the transom bracket and run it again, and that's all she wrote. Here I have the motor complete. I'm going to run it tomorrow. I repainted the lower unit, propeller, and prop bullet just to make it look presentable. And I got the 18 horse plate back on where it belongs with the 4 fasteners after doing that repair. And I'm pretty much done. The only thing left I have to do is I already started the seal repair. It was broken a couple spots. And here I'm doing a repair just in the cracks and back here too. But I'm gonna, have to hit it again, a little more silicone, and use water in your finger, and you can smoothen it out. And then I'll paint it with the light blue paint. Everything else is pretty much done. All right, till we run it. Well, you can't win. Always something breaking, always. Just went to turn the twist grip to start it since over a month ago. Did all the repairs and till the throttle rod broke. Very common, especially in salt water. 1224 screw, not much edge distance. It's prone to break even when it's new. Gets a little corroded, and you're on borrowed time. So I just went to turn it slightly, and it broke. So I just got done replacing it. And I'm going to put a video out on how I do that, because it's tricky if you don't know how to. Just another thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. After about 2 months, everything is done. Let's see how it starts. I haven't run it in over a month. I just hooked up my gas. I pumped it up, fresh gas. Just choked it. Here goes. Take two. Take three. This is not rehearsed, folks. Well, after a lot of work, we want to get down to this state, finally. Well, I went to go start it, and the water pump wouldn't work. Chinese impeller would not pump. The only thing I could think of is, this is the impeller I took out of there. The original one, in storage for over 30 years, still pumped like brand new. Worn blades, but the stiffness of the blades is critical. The Chinese ones seem to be very soft, and these water pumps at low RPM are pressure pumps, and at high RPM they flex and it becomes a volume pump. But just the flexibility in these impellers is so soft. I think that's what the problem is. Maybe they'll work with a brand new housing, I don't know. But I tried it 2 or 3 times. I took the low unit down with the same gear case. I wanted to make sure I had the copper tube staked in a hole in the top of your water pump impeller housing, and still wouldn't pump. I hooked up a drill. I'll show you a little clip. I hooked up the electric drill when the power head was off yesterday and water was pumping, but yet when the motor's together running, it would not pump. Apparently the drill is 3,000 RPM, When the motor's idling, 600, 500, whatever, it's not going to pump. So I put another brand new OEM impeller in the same housing, put it all back together, and it pumps great. Let's see how she starts. Pumped it up, choke. On. So after a lot of back and forth, pulling the lower unit off 2 or 3 times, I pulled the power head again yesterday. Of course, what I did is I thought maybe the power head gasket I made, I had the holes in the wrong spots. I didn't punch out the holes to match the water flow that comes up in the midsection to where it goes out the back. I thought maybe the holes were off, but they were right on, spot on. So yesterday I went to a local marina and I bought OEM power head gaskets. Put the power head back on, still wouldn't pump. Pulled the gear case down. After 2 or 3 tries, taking the gear case up and down, I put the new OEM impeller, and it pumps great. But I'm going to now list what I did to this motor. Now, I realize most people can't do what I do because I have all the parts. But even so, you can pretty much get anything you want on eBay or marineengine.com. You know, they pretty much have all the parts for these engines because the interchangeability is so vast. So many years you could take a low unit from one motor and swap it to here, carburetor, blah, 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 etc. pull starters, everything. They're just amazing. But when I got this motor, it came from the scrapyard, like in my first episode. Tiller bracket and the twist grip were broke off. What was broke here, tiller was missing, and this was broke. So I changed that, I repainted it. I rebuilt the gear case, rebuilt the water pump, cleaned the carburetor. What else? Polished the points. Freed up the steering was stuck. Tapped and drilled the clamps out because they were stuck. Mine was in storage for about 30 years. I did a cowl straightening job on the lower pan on the opposite side. I repaired the gasket in numerous spots with silicone. Basically here, 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 and there. And what else? I went through the crazy problem of the cam plate was wrong. I thought it was the wrong cam plate on there. I jumped to conclusions thinking this was supposed to be installed, and somebody ground down the original cam plate. But in 67 and 68, thanks to a subscriber, a comment, this was the right plate for 67 and 68. The contour on this cam plate and the link arm, the stainless steel link arm, up to 66, they had this plate on there with this brass link arm, which is a lot shorter. But anyway, that's explained in my last video. I replaced the plugs, the clutch dog, and the cradle fork was changed. Polished the points, like I said. Replaced the thermostat gasket, was missing. Prop shaft seal, drive shaft seal, shift O-ring I replaced. Right here. I also replaced the bottom stainless steel plate on the water pump because it had some gouges in it. I was starting to think anything under the sun could be making this thing not pump. So I put a brand new plate that I had in there too underneath the impeller housing. I replaced the lower pan mount. It was broken 3 places when they threw it in the pile at the scrapyard. And the gear shift handle, that was replaced. Oh, and yesterday I started it up and the keyway broke again. Turned out, I had it torqued this time too. The first time it broke, it wasn't torqued. I just had it snug. Second time I had it torqued and it still broke. Took the flywheel off. The keyway slot was fanned, was worn on the bottom. So no matter what you did and how you torqued it, in the right conditions, it'll just break again. So I changed it. I put another flywheel on it. The only other thing I could have done was possibly maybe shim the slot a little bit if you couldn't get a flywheel and put a brand new Woodruff key in there and you might get away with it. But I changed the flywheel. What else? I replaced brand new large fuel line going through the bottom because that cracked. I repaired the cover. I have the repair in this video. You'll see it, how I repaired the 18 horse ornament plate in the front. And the hook in the front there was missing. And the back, one of the screws was corroded off and the other one was ready to corrode off. So I had to take the whole assembly apart and retap the holes, get the studs out, and repair that. And I had the factory screws. They use these aluminum Phillips screw pan heads. So just on the cover alone, I had 3 repairs. Most people just put a bungee cord around the bottom and have that hold it on. But me being the stickler that I am, I fixed everything. Well, I went to go start it the other day. This broke as I was hooking up the gas line. Just turned it with my hand and the tiller rod broke. Very common. Again, because it's a 1228 hole, fine thread, but very little edge distance with the aluminum, so they can break just from even when they're new. But this was partially corroded. I didn't see it when I put the tiller on there. So I usually inspect that, and I run a 1228 tap through that hole to make sure everything's still good and there's enough edge distance. But again, lucky I have these parts, because anybody else would have to buy them on eBay or marineengine.com. So all in all, if I kind of figured out about 13 hours of labor if you did it back to back. But I did over a 2-month plus period of time, over 2 months. I had a lot of hot days. There was a lot of 95-degree days. I didn't do much, couldn't do much. So when I could, I do what I had to do. I also painted the inside of the pan. That's in the video. You'll see that, along with the gear case. And I didn't change the fuel pump, but I'm gonna. Fuel pump seems to work. I'm going to put a brand new one on there. Again, with the water pump impellers, I had very good luck with the Chinese impellers. I had a little more, the 9915s, I did the newer style, the low profile ones. Those small impellers, the Chinese ones are noted for not pumping properly. But I never had a problem with these. And I don't know what I'm going to do, because I have 4 or 5 in stock that I bought. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe with a new housing, everything brand new, they might work. I don't know. I'll show you a little clip of me with the drill motor, showing you that it was flowing. Yeah, it was flowing okay. I don't think it was flowing the way it should have flowed, but with that drill, I was getting water flow with the Chinese impeller. But with the power head on there and running, it would not draw it up on its own. Took the thermostat cover off. Usually it'll gush out of there like a Yellowstone geyser. But it's all part of fixing outboards, everybody. That's just the way it is. You got to like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. There are times I don't like it. And I'm passionate about it. I'm really passionate at times. But I'll admit I had to walk away a few times. Just too many things going wrong. Especially when the tiller broke. Then the Woodruff key broke the second time. The choke spring broke. Little tiny spring on the choke linkage that pulls the flap. That broke. All these little things. I had one after another happen like in 10 minutes. I just walked away. Come back and I fix everything. But she runs good. I'm really pleased. Can't beat these old 18s, 22 cubic inch motors. They made them for a lot of years, starting in 1957. The 18 came out up until the 25 since 1976. Same power head, basically. And the early ones had no thermostats on them. Same exact block, no thermostats. They added the thermostat in 59. Golden Jubilee year, 50th anniversary. OMC put a thermostat on it. Probably for people, using them in cold weather areas. They would run at 140 degrees with a thermostat. It's probably compared to 85 degrees without a thermostat. There's all kinds of talk about certain motors will idle better with a thermostat. Again, on these old motors, I take them out. Unless you want to change them every year in salt water, put the thermostats in. Fresh water, you can do whatever you want to do. Leave it in there for 5 years, but nobody changes them. And they get stuck shut, motors overheat, you get the lamination problems, the outer round cylinders, all kinds of stuff. Take them out. That's only my advice, my opinion only. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this 1968 18 come back to life. Thanks for watching. We'll see what's next. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.